you already knew this, but the Hunter Biden story is true. It is a true story. You've known this for a while. But liberal blog Politico confirming this week what most of us already knew. The President of the United States is almost certainly corrupt. And strangely, this story is not exploding. And that is horrifying. Nearly 1 year after the Hunter Biden laptop revealed to the world he was using his father's position of political power to enrich himself and evidently his father as well, Politico finally gets around to confirming it. They've been busy, obviously. And specifically confirming 2 emails, one proving Biden met with Hunter's connections, which Biden has always denied he ever did, always said he had no idea what Hunter was up to. That was BS. And another email confirmed indicating that 10% of a stake in a company would be held by Hunter for the big guy. The only big guy Hunter knows is his dad. It's the only one he's ever had to know. He's never had to do anything or have a job or really be impressive at all. In fact, he's quite the opposite. Now, when this all came out, it was first reported by the New York Post, a media institution, a newspaper founded by a founding father hundreds of years ago. But the rest of the media, of course, knew they had to keep Trump out of the White House. They had no clue if the story was legit or not, but they made sure to tell you that it wasn't.
He's been hyping this unverified, unsubstantiated New York Post report about Hunter Biden and his father.
Trump still pushing unfounded theories of wrongdoing by Joe Biden and his son Hunter in Ukraine.
Wrongdoing of Hunter Biden and his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, are unsubstantiated and have been repeatedly debunked.
The unsubstantiated Hunter Biden story.
Hunter Biden has faced unsubstantiated allegations from President Trump.
He repeatedly urged to investigate Joe Biden and his son Hunter on Trump's baseless claims of corruption.
How pathetic are these people? Baseless claims, repeatedly debunked. You can debunk anything. You just listen to what people on your side say. Embarrassing, so embarrassing. And using all of that fuel, a media in his corner, the now president brushed off this story during a presidential debate, and it was quite easy to do.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
50 former intelligence officials, leaders of the CIA. Swamp. Absolutely disgraceful. They would hide anything to get Trump out of that White House. Mission accomplished. Also, imagine if we had a functioning press. Imagine if this story had been reported and confirmed before the election. That's the reason they got away with saying all that, is because they could, because the media just didn't look into it and just said it was debunked because that's what liberals were telling them. It was an absolute embarrassment to watch our media last year. A major scandal. And we likely have a different president right now. The media likely elected Joe Biden, never forget that. But back to present day, a Washington insider powerhouse outlet like Politico confirming these 2 emails should have led to a tidal wave of mainstream press reports. Everyone in Washington reads Politico. Had this been Donald Trump and his son, your television would have exploded this week, with months of nonstop coverage to follow. But we've discussed all that so much, it's now boring. We all know the press is the Democrat Party's ally. We know that. They're in bed together. We get it. But let's talk about why this story is truly scary. You know what separates this country from the places that all these migrants at our southern border are fleeing? Dramatically less corruption. Corruption is what ends a sophisticated nation. It's quite literally how we gauge the quality and health of a country. According to Transparency International, a global coalition that measures and ranks corruption around the world, the U.S. ranks 25th out of 180 on a corruption perception index. New Zealand and Denmark are ranked number 1 with the least corruption. It's a lot easier when you have a smaller country, smaller government. We rank 25th, tying with Chile. We dropped out of the top 20 in 2017. In January last year, the United States received its lowest score in 8 years. Putting it in perspective, Taiwan ranks 28th, just behind us. We're being beaten by Hong Kong, which does get a rating, even though it's not really a country. It's now a city in China. United Arab Emirates and Uruguay. In December of last year, right after being elected president, Biden pledged that his relatives would avoid conflicts of interest. So Hunter's corruption needed a new avenue. He can't just follow Joe around the world anymore and collect million-dollar checks right down the street from daddy's meetings. You can't do that. So the smartest man that Joe Biden has ever met became an artist. In The Atlantic today, at some point in the coming weeks, hundreds of thousands of dollars will be funneled to the son of the sitting American president. And none of us will know anything about who sent the money or where it originally came from or why someone chose to send it in the first place. Well, no one except the Bidens. We'll get to that in a second. Props to The Atlantic for doing what most media won't on this story, but let's not forget they still protected Biden from this story when it really counted and hid it to save the 2020 election. They're just trying to save face a year later, get some of that credibility they lost back. Good luck. Hunter's art is going to sell between $75,000 and $500,000, which anyone in the art game will tell you is hilarious. In July, the White House claimed the most ridiculous ethics agreement ever over these deals. Rather than just forbid this and just say, no way, the White House said the buyers would remain a secret. You know why? It's not being done so the Bidens will never know. Of course they're going to know. It's being done so we'll never know who's buying this garbage as access to a sitting president. Even Obama's ethics chief called the White House's arrangement to sell Hunter's art the perfect mechanism for funneling bribes.
Now the world is looking to see if America is truly ready to step forward into much stronger ethics. And what do they see on the news? They see the president's son cashing in, selling art at these ridiculous prices, and the White House actively defending it. That is very damaging to our reputation.
It's so ridiculous. But who cares, right? All you need anymore in America as a government official is just a tiny bit of plausible deniability. And now there's concern the Chinese could be the ones who are possibly interested in buying Hunter's overpriced work. You can almost guarantee it. Hunter's art dealer, Georges Berges, or however the hell you say it, said in 2015 that his plan is to be the lead guy in China, the lead collector and art dealer discovering and nurturing talent from that region. Well, I'm glad he's connected in China. I wonder how many connections he has. We're going to find out. If Burgess truly keeps his word and doesn't share the buyers with Hunter, we'd know, because the art is going to sell for about $50 a painting. I guarantee you it won't. Republicans on the House Oversight and Reform Committee, led by James Comer, demanding Burgess hand over information to the Oversight Committee. They want to know who's buying this art. We all deserve to know who's buying this art because it's access to the president. This is the kind of stuff that happens in second and third world countries. This is a joke, and it's happening right before our eyes. Our country has been corrupt for a long time. Let's be real here. All those lobbyists in D.C., K Street, 23 of them for every member of Congress, all examples, prime examples of corruption in this country. What do you think they do down there? They grease the politician, they get what they want. That's corruption. It's all corrupt. But this is a new level we're ascending to now. We are witnessing flat-out corruption right before our eyes. You're going to see this art just sell. You're going to watch corruption happen, and Hunter is going to get rich. And what amount of that goes to Joe? Maybe we'll know, maybe we'll never know. But if this is not condemned, if this is not stopped, it will spread like wildfire in Washington. Remember, most of the people in that town representing you, as they say they are, only really care about themselves. And I'm talking about people from both sides of the aisle. They all want to get rich. Politicians used to fear the consequences of corruption because we handled it swiftly. We threw people in jail. It's clear they no longer do.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.